Man, it is such an honor to be with y'all today. My name is David Neal, and let's see if my clicker will work. Come on. Hey, y'all. In case you didn't recognize, I am from the South. I hope y'all understand my redneck English. I speak fluent redneck. I'm just geeking out about being here at Sweetwater. I've been a fan of Sweetwater for a long time. I've been like a little fangirl running around with Eric, showing me all the kind of behind the scenes stuff at Sweetwater so far, and it's just a really cool opportunity to be here. Disclaimer, I'm a software developer. I'm not an expert. I'm not a certified guru. I'm not some big thought leader. If I know a thing or two, it's because I've seen a thing or two. I know you've probably have lots of really interesting experiences and stories that you can tell. I'm here to share some of my experiences, and my hope is there are some nuggets of value that you can take away from this presentation. I'm here to talk about leadership skills that I believe everyone needs to know. And I make a lot of mistakes. I have made lots and lots of mistakes in my career. And I want to share with you some of my most embarrassing mistakes right now. One, I didn't ask for help when I was afraid of what others would think, or if I admitted that I didn't know all the answers or made a mistake. There are times when I didn't follow up on a promise. I avoided conflict and difficult situations, difficult conversations. Sometimes I didn't step up and take responsibility, knowing that there was something I knew that needed to be done. And there were times when I didn't encourage other people that I worked with or worked around. I didn't publicly celebrate their success or give them constructive feedback when I knew it could have helped them. Well, guess what? These mistakes had nothing to do with being a programmer. The most difficult parts of any job, and I believe the most valuable activities of any job, any role, have nothing at all to do with technology. It's people. It's how we value ourselves and how we value others. So, in this talk, I want to share with you 7 essential ways that I believe that you can unlock your potential, become a leader in your organization here at Sweetwater or in the tech community at large. And I want to help you be more awesome. Yes. So when I started my career, I was doing a mix of IT and programming, and I absolutely loved solving problems and fixing things. I couldn't believe that I got paid to do some of the things that I got to do. But a funny thing happened. I was promoted to a management position, and I hated it. All I wanted to do was geek out about code or hardware or, technology. And I'm an introvert, stereotype, right? Leaving my desk to go and talk to other people was not even remotely in my nature. I resented the role and responsibilities. I did the bare minimum to get by. And within 18 months of that first management role, I took another job so that I could go back to just being a programmer. And of course, making less money. Dang it. So this cycle of promotion to management and the despair and the resentment and, dreading the role and the work that I was asked to do, this repeated itself several times early in my career. And I would leave and go to another job, and my wife would ask, what do you have against making more money? Well, it's not all about money. My ideal job was give me the fastest computer, give me a bunch of caffeine, and and leave me alone. Yes, so that I can fix everything, okay? Just let me fix everything. Now, that may sound great, right? And thankfully, there are still times when, that's maybe all that you need. I love to be just heads down working on a creative solution, whether it be programming or any number of creative outlets. But there's so much more to being successful in your career. Now, when you think about leadership, you might be thinking what I used to always think, and that's only for management, right? I just want to write code or geek out about technology. Well, leadership skills are important for being a good manager, but this is not a talk about management. This is a talk about, leadership skills that we can all learn to be better and more effective at what we do. If you do find yourself promoted to a management position and you kind of like, what am I doing here? What do I do? Here's some quick tips for you. One, it's okay to ask for help. Ask for some training. Ask for a mentor. Two, listen, like really listen to the people that you work with, what they're saying, what they're not saying. Empower people to do awesome work. That's your job, is to help other people be more awesome. You're there to serve them, not to be served. And most of all, be kind. So leadership is not just for management. Leadership is for all y'all. And for those of you who may not understand this vernacular, there's you, one person, there's y'all, which may be a group of people. All y'all is everybody. There are qualities and skills of being a leader that every one of us need to learn. Another misconception is that leadership is about being in control. No, it really doesn't work that way. Leadership is more about having influence, earning trust and respect, finding common goals that everyone can work towards, negotiating with other people and other teams, influencing others to agree to help you with the work that you need to accomplish. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want written on your tombstone? I know that's kind of a morbid thought, and it's difficult for some of us to think about such things, but I believe that if we take the time to really think about how we want, the kind of legacy that we want to leave behind, it helps us to really put some focus on some things that are maybe some higher priority in our career. Living with that end in mind can shape your priorities and your focus, your values, and what's most important to you. So what I want to give you is maybe a bigger lens to see your world. I want you to walk away with a bigger and more clear perspective on your life. So one of the things I want to tell you is that you are awesome. You may not realize it, but you are awesome. We may have never met, but I believe that if I got to know you, there are things about you that are unique and amazing that put you in just a very special opportunity to impact the people around you and the world. You are uniquely gifted to do amazing things that no one but you can do. One of the things that we struggle with, however, is lies. Lies that the world has told us about who we are, lies that we've bought into, lies that we've told ourselves as we compare ourselves to others and think that we don't measure up to, someone else who does amazing, awesome things. They just do, it's different than what we do, right? But I believe without a doubt that you are capable of more than you realize. You can do bigger, more amazing things than you have yet to imagine. Things like creativity and imagination are like a muscle. The more you use them, the stronger you can get. And I know that you can do amazing things. Now, in growing your awesomeness, I believe that there are 3 key ingredients to learning any new skill or accomplishing any big goal. And those are some determination, I'm going to do this, practice, regular, we're musicians, right? We know about practice, and a whole lot of patience. One of the things we need to learn as part of our growing is to have not only the patience, but the ability to forgive ourselves, to give yourself some grace. Like, yeah, it's going to be terrible for a while. I'm not going to be good at this right away. I need to allow some time and practice and be patient. You're going to make mistakes. That doesn't mean that you're a failure at whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Mistakes are a part of learning. I make mistakes every day. Every successful person that you see on a stage or on YouTube or whatever, people that you admire, they're standing on a burning trash heap of mistakes. You've probably seen the internet meme, how to draw an owl, right? You step 1, you draw some circles. Step 2, you draw the rest of the owl. Man, it's so helpful, right? Like, I got it now. I can do that. So when we don't have a clear path to success, when we don't have a clear definition of what success is, we waste a lot of time staying stuck at step 1. And, a lot of times I just get overwhelmed and give up. Like, I don't know how to get there. I don't know how to get to that next step. Well, one of the cool tools that you can use, you can learn, is about setting SMART goals. And SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. You may say, well, I want to become an expert in this new programming language or this new technology. I don't even know what an expert means. I know, I've seen other people who can do this really well. I want to be like them. But, I don't know how to get there, but I can start today with a SMART goal. By next Friday, maybe I can create a new application with, a hello world type thing to write a message to the window or the console. And then set another SMART goal. And step by step, you build momentum, better understanding, and achieve more and more goals. And one day, could be weeks, could be months, maybe even years, you look back and say, wow, I can't believe how far I've come. One of the lies that we've bought into in the tech industry so many times is this idea of multitasking. Our computers can do it, but, the computers do multitasking a lot of times in ways that, seem like they're multitasking, but they're really just being really clever about how they're pausing some things and executing others. Well, this may come as a surprise, but one way to do more and accomplish more is to focus on less. Our work cultures a lot of times say, we value multitasking. We got to be able to juggle a lot of different tasks at the same time, and we put it in our job descriptions. Must be a good multitasker. We put it on our resumes. I'm the best multitasker ever. But it doesn't work that way. Our brains don't work that way. The truth is, none of us are good at multitasking, no matter how hard we try to convince ourselves. Maximize utilization. Every employee needs to be 100% utilized, right? But let me ask you, what's a highway at 100% utilization? It's a parking lot. And it's not just, like an opinion. It's math. It's true for traffic. It's true for fluid dynamics, for electricity, and it's true for people. Who likes to go into a circus? No one likes to raise their hand, right? You're the audience. But, a circus is cool. We get to see, someone like this lion tamer get into a cage with a lion and somehow not get mauled to death. Man, how does he do that? The whip is cool, and, but the whip, the lion doesn't give a rip about the whip. The whip is for the audience. The audience is like, oh, he's like Indiana Jones, got the cool whip. But what's up with the chair? This is the key. Lions have incredible powers of focus. That's what helps them in the wild to be predators. And when you put the four legs of a chair in a lion's face, the lion can't decide which of the four legs it needs to focus on. So, in essence, the lion becomes paralyzed with indecision. And we are much the same way. When we have too many tasks on our plate, we're trying to juggle too many things, we can get overloaded. We think we can switch from one thing to another, but our brains don't work that way. Our brains can't stop thinking about those other problems that we have, and it becomes stress to the point that those tasks haunt us even in our sleep. How many times have you woke up with that aha moment of like, oh, I know how to fix that problem? That's because our brains keep working even while we're sleeping. And it may sound counterintuitive, but do everything in your power to focus on one thing at a time. You'll get more done. You'll get it done faster and at higher quality than trying to juggle a lot of things at once. So, remember I told you earlier, you are awesome. That is still true. You are awesome. But there's more to your story than just being awesome. Being awesome is only part of it. Your life is valuable. I believe there's a reason that you're here. And it's not just to be really good at computers or technology, although that can play a part. I believe that your purpose, our purpose in life, can be summed up more or less in that leave it better than you found it. And I'm not just talking about our planet and the environment and all that. Those are great things too. I mean, every encounter that you have every day, whether it's in person or online, with your friends, your family, or complete strangers that you meet, you have opportunities that you can leave it better than you found it. So I implore you to engage other people with empathy and kindness and share with the world those things that make you awesome. You may not, you may not even realize just how amazing and awesome, some of the things that you have that you can share with other people. Like it or not, I am 100% introvert. I've taken the test multiple times. It always comes back the same thing. But I do know that as a human, I am created to be in community with other people. I can't just go throughout life completely alone. I need the help of others. Which vegetable do sailors dislike the most? Leeks. This has nothing to do with the presentation. It's just some in-flight entertainment. So early in my career, I worked for a boss who was the stereotypical Dilbert's boss, right? I did not like the man personally or professionally, and his incompetence was legendary. Mistakes were named after him. You know, Bob wasn't his real name, but you get the idea, right? He continued to rise in rank and responsibilities, and the work that I was required to do under his direction was of no value to anyone. For example, I was tasked with creating documentation for every method and stored procedure in the code that I was writing, like a binder of documentation for the code and stored procedures. No one was going to read this, ever. Pointless, meaningless work is soul-crushing, right? And I tried to do everything that I could to get out from under his management. And with no hope in sight, I found another job. I said to myself, life is too short to work somewhere that stinks. And you might even be, agreeing with me right now. Like, yeah, that's right. I'm not going to take this anymore. So I started living by this philosophy, and I started offering it as advice to other people. When they come to me and would be complaining about the work that they were doing, their jobs, I would tell them, hey, just get another job. Like those of us in technology, we know, right? We are so privileged and blessed to be in such high demand that if we choose to do so, we can have our choice of jobs, right? Not every profession is like that. But the problem is this idea began to pollute my perspective. And when things started to go sour, I would think, oh, great, here we go again, time to look for a new job. And years later, I was in a similar situation. I was very unhappy. I was started interviewing at other companies, and I had a couple of really attractive job offers that I was trying to decide what to do. And so I went to my wife and I said, explained to her, what the options were. And she asked me a couple of questions that stopped me in my tracks. She asked, have you done everything that you can do? And if you left now, would you have any regrets? Gosh, really? This other job is really awesome. So I declined the job offers, and I took ownership of the situation that was happening at the present company, and I committed to doing everything that I could to make my team successful. In the end, I still left that job a year later, but I left having no regrets and extremely proud of the work that we had accomplished. It had been one of the most prolific years in my career. Now, sure, there can be toxic environments, there can be career-limiting situations, there could be opportunities that come along that are just too amazing to pass up. And, there can be justifications for changing a job. But for everything else, I've got a new mindset. And that is, life is too short to let things stay the way they are. I encourage you that, you may have heard this phrase before, well, that's not my job. Well, that's a terrible attitude. I've learned that taking ownership and responsibility is the right thing to do. It's always the right thing to do. And it has far-reaching effects. I've learned that it's okay to be honest with your leadership in your company, to say, ask yourself, ask them, what can I do to make this situation better? How can we fix this together? Is there anything I can do to help? Every now and again, we say goodbye to some people, sometimes really, really awesome people that we hate to see go. And regardless of the circumstances, we may, tell them how much we're going to miss them. We talk about, some of the awesome, cool things that they do. Some of those really awesome people, leaving on great terms, we'll even throw a party for them, right? And we'll gather around and talk about some of the cool things that they did and contributed to, and think awesome things that they'll be remembered for. And on one of these occasions years ago, it struck me. It's like, why are we just now talking about this? Why are we waiting until someone leaves to tell them how awesome they are and the cool things that they've done and the impact that they've made on the lives of the people that they work with? So it was kind of a heartbreaking moment for me. It was like, maybe if we had told them, they wouldn't be leaving. Maybe. I mean, there's still, like I said, there's still opportunities that come along that justify changing jobs. So I decided I would run an experiment. So every Friday for about a year, I posted a tribute to someone at the company about how awesome they were, the impact that they had made on the company or on me personally, some kind of personal story. Sometimes I would talk to other people and say, what's something that this person's done that has really impacted you? So here's an example. Nakota was a customer support manager at this company, and as someone described, he did the work of 10,000 men. He consistently went above and beyond to make customers happy. He is awesome. Now, the drawing isn't really that important. It's just something fun that I like to do. And usually the stuff that I said about that other person was not all that earth-shattering either. The real magic was everything else that everyone else said throughout the day. Story after story, encouragement, high fives. It was absolutely beautiful. All I did was simply start the conversation. As I said, this experiment lasted for about a year, and I had so many people come up to me and thank me for being honored in that way. I had people's managers coming up to me and saying, thank you for doing that. They really deserve that, or they really needed that encouragement. Now, I grew up in a dysfunctional family. I mean, who didn't grow up in a dysfunctional family? But there wasn't a whole lot of encouragement in my family being shared. So encouragement didn't come natural to me. This is a skill that I've had to learn. And, it may be a skill that you need to learn as well. I'm going to show you how you can do this. Imagine you have a coworker named Mary, and you can go randomly and say, Mary, I just want you to know how much all that database work that you do for our team means to our team. Not only that, but you're always smiling and cheerful. You are such an encouragement to our team and everyone around you. Thank you. Paul, thank you for being willing to help. I know I can always count on you to come ask you some advice or talk through a problem, and you can help me find creative solutions. Thank you for being awesome. Mark, thank you for always wearing deodorant and coming to work fully dressed. Keep up the good work, buddy. See, you can find stuff to encourage people about. It's not that hard. Every one of us wants to know that the things we do matter, that our work has value and significance, that we have value and significance. Encouragement highlights that person's strengths and its positive reinforcement. What do they want to do now? They want to go do more of what you've just encouraged them about so that they can keep feeling that good feeling of making a difference. One of the tools that can be really useful to you and your team is there's a book called The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. And the perspective that they propose for thinking about collaborating with other people is this idea of operating above the line or knowing when you're operating below the line. Below the line is characterized by things like you're closed, you are defensive, you are you want to remain in control, you're trying to protect yourself. There's things like conflict and gossip, people who are looking to find fault and blame. These are all things that are like detrimental and harmful to an organization. Above the line is things like you are open. You're open to having difficult conversations. You really genuinely care about having conversations and resolving conflict and committed to finding solutions and to learning. There's joy in being above the line, that you can actually enjoy the work and the creative process and having play as part of your work, to listen deeply and to care about the people that you work with. So at any given time, you could fall below the line. So there's this idea of self-awareness, of knowing, where am I today, or where am I right now in this meeting? Am I above the line or below the line? And sometimes you may have to take a time out and say, hey, this is not working. I'm not in the right frame of mind, or I'm not in the right space right now. Can we continue this conversation some other, let's take a break and come back, or any number of strategies. This book is amazing. I would recommend. There's lots of other resources and stuff that I'll point you to at the end of this talk that I think would be valuable for you to learn. But this is kind of a, not only a leadership perspective, but also an introspective kind of thing. And speaking of introspective, there's another resource I want to tell you about. But humility is one of the most valuable perspectives and virtues that you can possess. One of my favorite authors, C.S. Lewis, says, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. So there's a book called The Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni. He's written multiple books they're all phenomenal. He describes there 3 essential virtues that every employee, every great leader must possess and develop. And this book can help you to not only identify and hire the best employees, but also get you thinking about how, what are some ways that you can improve yourself to be a better team player and leader. And he talks about humility being a healthy amount of ego, no concern for status, caring more about the team than yourself, eager to share credit with those that you work with. But the humility is there's a spectrum. And on one end of the spectrum, we can easily recognize like a person who's egotistic, that at that extreme that they are characterized by being arrogant and self-centered. They, oftentimes politicians that create division and resentment. They want their way or the highway kind of thing. But at the other end of the spectrum, you have someone who almost appears to be humble, but can be just as damaging to a team. They discredit their own talents and value to the team. They lack self-confidence. They discredit their own contributions. They won't point out problems when they see them. And this is where I found myself so many times in my career. I didn't realize it. I thought I was just being laid back and being cool. But by definition, both ends of the spectrum are about pride. The focus is on yourself and not on others. Genuine humility is what enables you to work with others above the line, to use that phrase from the conscious commitments to leadership. Because you're going to prioritize what's best for others over protecting yourself or what you think you need or what you think you deserve. I was on a discussion panel years ago where someone asked the question, what's the biggest problem that developers face today? And some of the responses I heard were things like, well, documentation. People don't document their processes or their software or their experiences like they should. Or the biggest problem is old technology that needs to be rewritten. Or the biggest problem is new technology and learning it or going through all the pain of adopting new technologies. There were lots of personal preferences and strong opinions and Stack Overflow type, stop doing this, always do this. I think the most fundamental problem we have over the years of experience and my perspective looking back is a lack of respect. I've come to the conclusion that respect for people is the most fundamental principle. Respect requires for a company to create a safe, sustainable workplace where its employees can thrive. Having respect means listening, having empathy. Mutual respect brings people together to fight for one another's success. It seeks to promote a healthy workplace, commitment to reduce friction and wasteful activities. Respect is that thing that enables you to be successful at all the other things. All the other things that we talk about in like agile software development or practices or all, it comes down to that fundamental virtue of giving and trusting and earning respect. I believe one of the most important practices that we can adopt is one of gratitude, thinking about what you're grateful for, regardless of your circumstances, because circumstances can change. You can be in wonderful circumstances. You can be in terrible circumstances. But you can always be grateful for what you have right now. It'll help you to keep things in the right perspective. It'll transform your attitude and the way you behave. Just saying thank you. Letting people know that you appreciate what they've done. Publicly celebrating. Having some kind of reward system. You could do something similar to what I talked about earlier, where you create like some kind of periodic tribute and honor folks. Some of us are in roles where we can help others a lot. Some of us, aren't so much. But there are creative ways that you can find to reward other people. If there's someone that you know that has impacted you in some way, either recently or it could be in the past, let them know about it. Don't wait until it's too late. I believe that there are three inevitable things in life. There's death, taxes, and PowerPoint. Sooner or later, it's going to happen. You're going to be expected to speak, for your team or in front of a wedding or a meetup or at a conference. You'll have to stand up in front of a group of people, some you may know, some you may not know, and present some kind of information. In 2011, I finally got up the courage to give my first talk at a meetup. And I stank. I was terrible. But a funny thing happened. I had people come up to me and thank me for sharing. I had people tell me to my face that I did a great job, even though I knew without a doubt that I was the worst speaker in speaker history. But it took a while for it to sink in, but I learned a valuable lesson about the power of community. That there are people out there who will look past your mistakes, who will see the good and potential that's in you, and will encourage you to not give up. Because when you do hard things like public speaking, everyone benefits. Here's one of my favorite quotes. When I gave my first talk, people didn't remember how I fumbled around with some kind of demo failure, all the mistakes that I made, all the ahs and the ums and all those classic kinds of things. They remembered me. They remembered that even in some small way, I helped them learn something new. I have found that to be that person that inspires someone to actually go and do something that you're talking about is one of the most rare and precious rewards I have ever experienced. One of the most valuable opportunities that you have is available to you in your community, your tech space community, wherever it is that you find yourself. Here, the things that you're doing here at Sweetwater through these speaker sessions and so forth. It's a place where you can learn and grow and be challenged to try new things. And I challenge you to get involved in some way and find ways that you can give back. Public speaking is a pretty amazing skill. It's really a superpower that'll set you apart and open up doors and opportunities and launch you ahead as a leader and influencer in your company and community. But it's not the only way you can contribute to your community. There's incredible things can happen when you get involved. You can make new connections, friendships, exciting opportunities that you had never dreamed of can happen. What do you call a fake noodle? An imposter. Well, imposter syndrome is one of those things that prevent us from being involved in our community, for sharing our knowledge, our skills, and our experiences. And a lot of times we say, well, I'm not an expert. I have to be an expert in order to be able to do this, right? To be able to create some kind of content or to get up and give a presentation. But that's not true. You don't have to be an expert to be a good speaker or to create content or to share amazing stuff with other people. You have something that no one else has, and that is your experience. You have a unique and amazing opportunity to touch lives all over the world through the power of technology, such as the software that you create, blogs, YouTube, right? Twitch, countless other ways. You never know that if a small act of kindness, an investment of your time, or the technology that you help create could be the catalyst that inspires someone else on their journey. Now, earlier I told you that I was going to, share with you 7 things. You may have not realized it, but I did share 7 things. Here are the 7 ways that I believe that you can unlock your potential and become a leader and be more awesome. One is to think about the end in mind. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want to be remembered for? What's your mission statement for life? Be patient and give yourself some grace. Set achievable goals and measure your progress. Over time, you'll be amazed at how much you learn and how much you grow. Manage your time wisely and do more by focusing on less. Take responsibility. It's always the right time to do the right thing. That was Martin Luther King. Gratitude. Be grateful for what you have and the opportunity that you have. Recognize the blessings that you have regardless of your circumstances. Be respectful for others. Have empathy for the people that you work with. The work that you do affects other people. Recognize that. Find ways to encourage others. And then number 7, share your experience and your skills, your knowledge, your blessings with other people. I have one more story that I want to share with you. And this was, for me, it was Thanksgiving 1982. It was a pivotal, I always mess up that word, pivotal moment, a really key moment in my life. I'm not going to ask for a raise of hands of how many people remember 1982, but I'm one of those people that remembers 1982. So, as was tradition in my family, we would get in a car and we'd drive a couple hours away to my aunt and uncle's house, and we would spend Thanksgiving Day with all of my family on my mother's side. It was a huge kind of family reunion every year. And there, in 1982, I discovered in my cousin's bedroom one of these. This TRS-80 color computer from Radio Shack. I don't know if I don't think I spent the entire day, plugging away at this computer, but I was so fascinated with it. And I know that it made an impression on my uncle because some weeks later, my mom gets a call. We get in the car. We drive 2 hours away to my aunt and uncle's house, and there waiting for me is a cardboard box with a cassette drive, of course the TRS-80, a floppy drive, a dot matrix printer, a whole bunch of cables, ribbon cables, stuff that was pretty scary, for a young guy like me, and this book. Whoops. This one kind and very generous act launched me on a journey for the love of technology and computers, programming, and just all sorts of things. I didn't realize it at the time. I was just a young kid. I just I can play games on this thing. But I spent so much time geeking out over this TRS-80. And it made such a huge impact on my life. Looking back, I can't even begin to thank my aunt and uncle enough for this thing. You have an amazing opportunity to impact your family, your relatives, your community. You never know, as I said before, that some act of kindness could be the catalyst that launches someone else on their journey or love for exploration, joy, and even potentially their livelihood. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader, said President Mutton Chops. None of those things require you to have some kind of fancy title, to be in some kind of big controlling role. You don't have to be the CEO of a company or even a department manager or any of those things. Wherever you are today, you can inspire other people and have an impact on them. So I want to encourage you. Maximize your talents. Be courageous. Do those hard things. Become a leader in wherever you are. And inspire other people around you. Go and be awesome. Thank you. So at that link, there's a bunch of resources. You can get the slides for this presentation. You can get links to books and other content that I think would be valuable to you in learning leadership skills. I know this is we're at time, so if you need to go, take off. But if you want to talk to me, please come talk to me. I'd love to hear any questions that you have, learn more about your story, and help you in any way that I can. Thank you, and have a blessed rest of your day.